Yeah, thanks again, everyone, for joining. Welcome. Great to have you here. So I will just do a bit of an introduction to start with, and we'll run through into a bit of an agenda as well. We are looking to just take you through a bit of an overview around how we can support you over this period. As we know, we'll be heading into clearing and results day, and that can potentially be, a very intense, emotional part of the education journey for students. And what we want to do is just give you the tools to be able to support students over this period. I know there's likely to be a mix of people joining today, student ambassadors, staff at universities. So, whether you're preparing for your first clearing season or perhaps you're a seasoned veteran at this, hopefully there's something for everyone to take away in terms of some good insights, tools, and ideas around how to approach the clearing season. So if you just bear with me, I'll just share my screen and we can get started. Okay, so hopefully that's sharing okay for everyone. So yeah, welcome to our webinar, Clearing with Confidence, How Official Reps can drive real results. I'll jump into an agenda. So I'll be kicking things off, looking at some student sentiment and insights, really look to try and get a bit of an insight as to how students are feeling at the moment. A bit of insight in terms of their activity and their behaviours on the stream over the last few months, which might give some insight into how our university partners and peers can sort of look to support students over this time. I'll then be passing over to Joe, my colleague Joe, who will do proper introduction shortly. He'll run through a recap of official rep activity from last year as well, just look to give a bit of insight over what we tend to see over clearing. And then we'll jump into a panel discussion, and we're delighted to be joined by Zara and Matthew, who will do some formal instructions in a moment, who'll be joining in the panel discussion alongside myself and Joe. Look to just run through some real life examples and scenarios to take you through into clearing and give some ideas about how to approach certain queries and questions and discussions with students. And then finally, Joe will look at some ways that you can get the best out of official reps, taking you through best practice, guidance, and then finishing off with some key takeaways. Those that joined a bit earlier on might have heard Joe mention the Q&A that we've got available. We'll look to save some time towards the end to take you through or to answer some questions, so feel free to add that to the Q&A section within Zoom, and yeah, we'll save some time towards the end to cover those questions and queries. Anything we're not able to cover today or answer today, we'll make sure we follow up on those as well. So what I'll do then, if might be a good opportunity to just do some very quick introductions. So my name's Dominic Jones. I'm an account director at the Student Room. I've been here just over 2 years. I know a few people that I've spoken to measure their time in higher education by the number of clearings that they've navigated. I'm just about to approach my third clearing, so got a couple under my belt. I'm looking forward to seeing what this one brings. Some of you may recognise me. I work as mainly with our university partners, looking to support them with our flagship products, looking to engage with the students across the Student Room. I will pass over to Joe now.
Thank you, Dom. Yeah, I'm Joe Woodcock, the Head of Community and Safeguarding here at the Student Room. I didn't realise this is what we're doing. This will be my 8th clearing years old, I believe, at the Student Room, so a bit of an old head. You might see me on site or in some of the rep training that we host. My username is Evil Homer for my sins, but yeah, that's me. And Dom, I guess I'll leave to you to introduce our panelists.
Yeah, great, thanks, Joe. So I'll come to you first, Matthew. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
So yeah, hello, I'm Matthew. I'm actually a student at the University of Southampton. I've been supporting 2 clearings so far, and I've spent quite a lot of time as a student rep on the Student Room, answering questions and helping prospective students as they prepare to join university. Thanks, my main area is maths.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and there was a bit of a curveball I threw talking about the number of clearings you worked through. So thanks for picking up on that so soon. I won't put that straight onto you, Zara, but if you're able to share that, that would be lovely. But yeah, would you like to introduce yourself? Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. So I'm Zara, and I'm from Canterbury Christ Church University. So I work for the student recruitment in the school and college engagement. So I basically go and deliver talks and also recruit students all over the country by UCAS, and as well as delivering the talks on different schools and colleges, having building partnerships, and also coordinating events in the university. So I'm here to discuss about any questions about inquiries regarding the clearing or any other student recruitment basis questions that looking forward to answer them in the soon.
Thanks, Zara. Yeah, so some good experience we've got. So yeah, huge thank you to you both for joining. We'll hear more from them in the panel discussion a bit later on. But I will kick things off and just make a start with just looking at well, asking this question essentially, how are students feeling? And then we'll look into a bit of insights around student behaviours and what we're seeing on the student room at the moment. But yeah, it's an important question to ask. You consider all the things that the students have been going through, from university applications, recently going through exams, now thinking of results that are coming up and potentially more university choices to be made. But what we tend to see, emotions can run quite high. So it's important for all of us that are looking to support students to understand this, whether you be student ambassadors, whether you're working in admissions, marketing, wherever it may be. Hopefully we can sort of build a bit of a picture about how best to support them as we go through this. What I'll do is I'll just run through some insights that we've been collecting most recently, just to give you a bit of an inside view over what students are thinking and feeling at the moment. So the first two slides are just looking at a survey that we put out to students on the student room in March. So pre-exams, but post equal consideration deadline for university applications. Gives you a bit of an idea of what's on their mind, really. So just asking them what's really weighing on them at the moment. As you can see at the top, there's no real surprise then, looking at the time of year it is. Grades are the top concern. So 22% are saying that's their biggest pressure point. But also just trending just behind that, you've got those that are motivating themselves, finding it hard to motivate themselves to study, managing their time. That's something that also stands out as well. We've got a sort of bit of a longer tail of other things that are occupying their mind. So we assume and we know that global issues like climate change and conflict might dominate their mindset, but we know that the day-to-day academic financial stresses with the cost of living coming through here is really what occupies their minds at the moment. So again, just keeping that on your mind, we'll be aware of this, but just as a reminder, really, it's when we're speaking to students, it's important just to acknowledge that these are the real life pressures that are going on for them, whether it be juggling revision, thinking about the good grades they're getting, and also they're thinking about affording student life as well at this stage as well. And just to highlight this focuses specifically on year 13s as well. So this group will be sort of right at that point where they're making those decisions and going through these exam pressures. Moving on, we've got from the same survey, we asked students which support from your chosen university do you think would be most useful. So this is trying to get an idea of what support that students actually want. Nothing really massively stands out as one above the other, but overall you sort of get in a feeling for this practical help is what they're really seeking. So whether it be budgeting, planning their finances, help with that, get a part-time job, managing the workload. These are all the things that they're looking to really get support with. A bit of a theme we'll come across as we go through this as well is connecting me with other students, making friends. That's something that's really important, something they feel like they can, they really value support with as well as they look to start university. Mental health support comes through as well. You could consider this, something that ties everything together. So if you consider that students potentially getting overwhelmed with managing their workload, managing their finances, combine that potentially feeling isolated, if not feeling they're making those connections, everything becomes that bit harder. So that's always something to be aware of, and perhaps something to be aware of in terms of our tone when we're speaking to students more generally, and being that empathetic and supportive tone is going to be really important. So good to look at numbers. It's always great to get some real life examples and bring some of those numbers to life as well. I'll leave these quotes on the screen just for a moment. I won't read them through in too much detail, but what you'll probably get feel from as you read through this is they're weighing up some of those things that we've already talked about, whether it's that potential social anxiety, it's the academic pressure, all those sorts of things are coming through in those quotes. Just pulling out one in particular. So I've been an introvert my whole life, my whole school life, barely talked to people, went out or even made decent friends. I'm super nervous about everything at this point. I think what comes through there is sort of the vulnerability that comes through as well. They're just looking for that connection, that support. And a good example of where your presence can be really valuable and make a big difference if you're able to offer that supportive bit of guidance into starting university life. We talked a bit about worries and concerns and challenges, but actually this quote at the bottom here perhaps highlights that there is excitement that comes with it as well. So someone really keen to sort of talk and connect with others, asking if any first years are starting in September and want to discuss the course and what they're excited about in the coming year. So there is that excitement of looking forward to the next stage of their life. So jump onto the next slide, which actually we're going to look back at this point, but looking at 2024 entry, we put out a poll in November for 2024 entry. So at that point would be first years, and just to get a bit of an idea of what their biggest challenges were at that point, might give a bit of insight in terms of where support could be focused and what kind of support they might be looking for, and some considerations as we start supporting students as we go into clearing and results now. But these are split down into five main areas. So social pressures, we've talked about. Making new friends is something that the most found challenging. So there is that anticipation of looking to connect, but that is still quite a tricky thing as they go through first semester. That academic adjustment, we saw in previous slides, they're very aware of workloads, and adapting to that workload is a challenge. The one that's really interesting to focus on is this response around choice regret. So when you look at the regret for university choice and course choice, it comes to 22% in total. Perhaps just emphasizes the importance of giving best advice. So you don't know the reasons why they might have the regret, but I think being able to offer good practical advice at the stage we're going into could be really important for the experience that these students are going to be having as they start university. So yeah, just something to bear in mind there as well. And then a few other things that they found particularly challenging, juggling studies and social life, balancing that life, trying to manage that social life. And also you've got the added perhaps factor of looking for part-time work with extra cost of living pressures. More and more students may be looking at part-time work to support their studies. And then navigating independence as well. They're all going to be potentially moving out for the first time, managing their own finances for the first time. But they, in the most part, it seems that they're managing that. These are trending less than the likes of making new friends or adapting to the workload. So they seem to be adapting to that independence quite well. So just wanted to look back at exam season as a bit of an indicator of what we've seen so far this year, perhaps where students' minds might be, and also use that to look ahead and how that could be used and applied to clearing. Overall, we've seen a bit of a roller coaster in terms of an exam season. So plenty of emotion that we've seen in terms of posting across the site, and then we have seen quite deep engagement as well, with growth in certain areas in terms of posting. In terms of how things progressed, it started off with lots of early optimism, some confidence in certain subjects, exam subjects such as psychology, geography, economics. Shifted a little bit towards the middle of the season. A-level maths did see some high confidence, but then biology and further maths, there was a bit of anxiety that was triggered from it. And yeah, just throughout the season, some emotional highs and lows. But what we saw with this is that students were turning to peer forums, or turning to the student room and peers on this forum to help with either exam or revision, and also that emotional support side of things. And then with that, the support network played a huge role over this time. One of the things Joe will come on to a bit later and go into a bit more detail on is the record levels of rep posting that we saw over this period as well. So they've been there to offer the guidance and reassurance. So yeah, just a huge thank you to those that might be on the call that were offering that over that period. So just moving on then, what we can do with this data or info and insights from exam season is potentially look to see how we could apply that to clearing. first of all, just a couple of key takeaways from it. It's, emotional support is really important, just as much as the practical advice. We talked about how much students do value that and crave that practical advice, but that emotional support is something that will also resonate. Students are actively seeking that clarity, but empathy and that reassurance is going to be really important as well. And we can see how the impact of peers and institutions, university reps that are getting involved, that can have a big impact for students as well. So looking at clearing, you can draw some parallels in terms of how emotionally intense it can get, especially results day itself if things happen quickly. Students want institutions to meet them where they are, which is online, and being responsive and offering that clarity and reassurance. A little stat that was taken in October, so a bit of time ago, but perhaps give a bit of insight, which won't have changed too much, is sort of that knowledge around clearing and how many feel like they know a lot about it. And in October, just 20% agreed that they did know a lot about clearing. So there is that opportunity to build that engagement through offering clear and supportive advice. And yeah, it's that, it's mentioned here, that human engagement as well. So just not looking too far away from the fact that they're just looking for support and sort of craving that bit of human engagement and reassurance. So I'm going to hand over to Joe now, who'll offer a recap of clearing 2024.
Well, thanks, Dom. We'll go through this slightly quickly. So yeah, on clearing 2024 overall, on A-level results day, we welcomed 316,000 visitors who made 7,339 posts, kind of averaging every time they appeared on the student room for 5 minutes on average. So across all of August, that's 6.1 million users, 5.8 million page views on the educational forum content, 2.1 million views on official rep content posted across that site. That is a lot of views on the content that you find most important getting in front of students' eyes. 96,000 plus posts made, 15,000 new registrations who hadn't even registered over the exam seasons that Dom's just spoken about, but that immediate need to get support over results and clearing. And that's 3 million page views across the site from international traffic as well. Just shows the huge scale and the huge need that students have over this period that all of us on this call can help address and support. Next slide, please, Dom. And what those students were saying on results day. Again, we'll just leave this up here for a little bit, but a lot of what Dom was saying before is resonates here also. It's about connection first and foremost. Not all of these were positive stories, but they were stories of people being supported immediately and helped through. Yeah, I think we can all cast our eyes back to when we were waiting for results, or stepping in an example. The pressure is humongous, and we'll get onto that a little later, and it reflects in some of the questions that we pulled from the site that we're going to ask our panelists. But the pressure is huge, and a supportive, a knowledgeable person on the end of an official rep account, or even just a supportive person saying congratulations or commiserations, can be a huge deal at these kind of emotional flashpoints. So something to take away. And hopefully I've given you enough waffle time to read through those quotes. Next slide, please. So yeah, really briefly, really quickly, what that looked like for official reps over that 2024 was we had 147 official reps supporting over August. That's a huge amount, and kind of shows just the vast, a student on the student room knows they can reach out to almost every single university and get that support they need. They created 5,000 posts alone, which was 25% more than in 2023. They were supporting in 2.7 thousand conversations and creating their own content of around 210 conversations created. So we had 25% more review than in 2023, creating 25% more content, getting 25% more support and 25% more authority on the student room, supporting all those young people we spoke about in the earlier slides. Next slide, please, Dom. Yeah, and those kind of conversations, I clearly haven't formatted this very well, so you might have to just squint a touch. But those top conversations that official reps found a lot of success in kind of resonating when engaging with students over this period One, we'll come on to this later, the clearing and applicant threads. So conversations that are already going on about, have you applied, will you apply, did you get your results, but also conversations specifically around the clearing options available at a given institution. Then we found loads of success here with conversations being created around that university life stuff. So what kind of meals are you going to be making, budget options, freshers week, things like that. Then obviously conversations happening around accommodation support. And I know that can be a slightly difficult thing for our official reps to deal with at times. They're not always in total control of the accommodation options they have, but obviously, especially if students decide something in clearing and results, they haven't had the time to maybe think through the accommodation as much as possible. We get a load of questions around them. Then we saw loads of success this year in our official reps kind of reaching out slightly further, going into our general community conversations. We spoke about the exam season, ending up in those kind of study spaces, congratulating users, getting involved in forum games, for instance, and kind of just showing themselves to be members of the community more widely. And then, yeah, finally, the kind of ask a current student anything, or those kind of socializing groups that get created post-results day are hugely popular with our students. If a student has gone through clearing, hit a university that maybe they weren't thinking about initially, they want to know really, really fast what it's like, and they want that authentic, genuine experience more than any other. So if you do have current students who are your official reps, so you can get access to them, hosting those kind of conversations after the fact can be really, really useful in letting students know what they need to expect. Next slide, please, Dom. Yeah, and then just we'll touch on this a little later after our panel discussion, but this was some of the quotes we pulled from the volunteers as well on the amazing work that our official reps have done. You'll see a little bit of common thread here, and that is predominantly the kind of everyone pulling in the same direction. So always jumping in, always being supportive, always being personable, but sometimes in the bottom right here, Bath tagging in Westminster because it wasn't about them, and that kind of everyone pulling together and doing what's best for the student. Yeah, our community can really tell when the people behind our official rep account are just trying to support those students. They're the ones that get the most eyes. They're the ones that really get the traction. And you can kind of see that through our volunteer comments here. And next slide, and final slide, I believe. Yeah, and then just touching on one more time, as Dom said, we saw some really, really huge growth in how our official reps engaged in that A-level and GCSE conversation this year. So they made 140% more posts than this time last year. They were posting in 110% more threads. So what does that mean? How can we extrapolate that to August? It means that a lot of our students have already made connections with people on this call and our official reps. They've built those relationships already. Those growth numbers mean personally for me that I have huge hopes for seeing that growth continue over results in 2025. There's also that added element of the GCSE audience that's just worth thinking about, even though it might not be our predominant form. That engagement offers a huge opportunity up long term as our community start recognising institutions. So there's further applicants, year 12s next year who are thinking about open days. Remember that supportive, amazing influence over exams and results that happened on the student room. So yeah, that engagement over GCSE results is hugely beneficial for what we're trying to do on the student room, but I really strongly believe it can be hugely beneficial for everyone on this call and your institutions also. So obviously A-level results day, the big day, but if you have a bit of spare time, think about us next week, the week after, jump back on and just wish everyone congratulations on GCSE results, answer questions about A-level options, and you'll really see the benefits long term also.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Joe. Yeah, lots of really interesting insights into that, and yeah, really interesting to see the engagement from GCSE onwards as well. Yeah, massive growth we're seeing there. Great. Now we're going to jump into the panel discussion now. We're joined, as we introduced earlier, by Zara and Matthew, and Joe will be contributing as well. So what I'll go through a few questions, pose some questions to the panel, and they'll give their sort of responses in terms of best advice to follow into that. Just a reminder as well, any questions as we go, feel free to add that to the Q&A section within Zoom, and we hope to have some time at the end to cover off those questions as well. So what I'll do is I will stop sharing for now. so you can see everyone's faces. So I'll kick off with the first question then. So everyone around me seems confident, but I'm convinced I'll be the only one who misses their grades. How do I cope with this? Joe, can I ask you to kick us off?
Yeah, cool. Cheers, Dom. In that instance, I mean, it's very, very common, and you'd want to let the user know, or the person asking, depending on the platform you're using, that it is very common. So we emphasize that they're not the only person feeling like they're not going to miss their grades. Far from it. And no matter what should happen, they'll get through it, and they'll find the right path. But the best way to kind of cope with feeling nervous is to be prepared. And that means prepared for all outcomes. And that means planning for what happens just in case. So make sure that they've obviously done all their research on their firm choice, but make sure that they're also researching maybe 3 or 4 universities that they'd be happy to go with, potentially with lower entry grades, if they were to miss that offer. That way, on that results, they can look at their list, they can see 4 universities that they're interested in going to. They can start thinking about all the amazing possibilities, and maybe I didn't want to go to X university, but it would be by the sea, and I can maybe start surfing. Any of those kind of things just allows the student to start thinking about all the positives of multiple options. And then finally, just remember that their friends might be looking confident, might be giving it the big one, but everyone deals with their emotions differently. And from my experience, nobody is calm at 7 a.m. on results day. And they're not alone. They won't be the only people to be nervous, and just really emphasize that kind of commonality on that one, I think.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, no, it's interesting point, that last one. I was thinking the same thing. Everyone could be giving off the vibe that they're really confident, but I'm sure everyone's not 100% feeling that way. So yeah, good to remind people of that. So second question. I've got into my firm choice, but I'm now having second thoughts. What can I do? Matthew, can I go to you first and give your thoughts to this one?
Yeah, clearing isn't just for those who haven't quite made their grades, and that's something that's good to emphasize when talking about clearing to students. Sometimes they just think it's for those that haven't got to their firm or insurance choice. But going to university is such a big decision, and if you're having second thoughts, it's worth looking around and seeing if you can find a university that you might want to go to instead, because students can put, even if they've been accepted by a university, can put themselves into clearing and then take an offer they've got through clearing.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Matthew. Yeah, it's yeah, it's important. It's not just for those that haven't made the grade. So yeah, there is that opportunity to look at some other options. Zara, have you got anything else you'd like to add?
I would say pause and reflect. Take a moment to breathe if you've just been through a big decision process, because it's totally normal to feel a bit unsure at the moment. So try to figure it out. What is making you hesitate? Is it the course? Is it moving to the different city? The vibe? Pinpointing your reasons will help you to move forward with confidence. Also, you might be able to talk it through as well. Sometimes saying things out loud makes a lot of difference. Chat with someone that you trust, especially a teacher, a parent, or an advisor, or you can explore basically what's on your mind, and you might be able to offer a new perspective or simply help you to feel clearer. And you might be able to get in touch with the uni, because we do kind of give a support on that as well. So if something doesn't feel quite right, you can reach out to your firm choice university. It could be any. They've probably had similar conversations with students so before, and maybe you will be able to offer some advice and flexibility or a different courses which is quite suitable for you to go in. You can also explore the clearing, as we have been having a discussions about the clearing lately. So if you're seriously thinking about changing the direction of the course that you're not liking, or something that you've been offered but you're not interested in, clearing could be the path for you in that regard. So even if you have accepted your firm offer, you can still use it. So just be aware if you need to have some self-release through UCAS before you can apply elsewhere, which means giving up your firm place. So only take the step when you're really, really sure about it. And last but not the least, give yourself some space to decide, which is more important because you don't need to have that rush at the moment. This is completely about your future and you deserve to feel excited about it as well. So take your time, ask questions, and remember that it's okay to change your mind.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great answer. Thanks, Zara. Yeah, it's yeah, don't make snap decisions, I guess, is something that comes out of that. And also, yeah, lean on those that are around you if you've got access to those, and universities also an option to reach out to as well. Thank you both. So next question, my uni isn't highly ranked. My friends are saying I can do better. Does it really matter in the long run? Can I go back to you, Zara, on this one? What are your thoughts around this?
Rankings can feel a little big deal, especially when your friends are like comparing the choices, but they don't tell the whole story. So what really matters is that whether the course and the university are right for you. So there are some facts that you might be able to keep that in mind, which is employers care more about than a league table. So yes, some industries might look at university reputation, but in most cases, employers are looking for skills, the experience, attitude, and obviously your potential. So if you make the most of your time at the uni, you can go through placements, you can do some activities like volunteering, societies, or part-time work, which helps you to build a brilliant CV regardless of the ranking. Second, your happiness and success go in hand. So, choosing a university where you feel very comfortable, supported, and excited can make a massive difference. So, if you're enjoying your course and you're in an environment where you thrive, you're far more likely to do well academically and personally. Third is the right fit is the most personal choice. So, the one person's better might be someone else's worst fit. So if your friends mean well and only you know what's right for your future, so think about what matters most to you, about the course content, about the support that's available, the opportunities of the courses, and overall vibe of the place, which is more important. And obviously define your own success, which is have plenty of graduates from all kinds of universities go on to those incredible things. So your ambition, drive, and confidence will take you further in any kind of ranking that you ever want to go in. So no, it doesn't have to matter in the long run. So what matters most is making the choice that sets you for up for success. So whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah, 100%. It's very much around personal fit, isn't it? That's something that maybe league tables and rankings don't necessarily
Yeah.
get across or cover. Matthew, any thoughts from yourself on this one? Where uni isn't highly ranked and my friends are saying, oh, I can do better. Does it really matter in the long run?
I echo exactly what Zara said. It particularly as someone who's currently considering what my time after university is like, their focus is on what you have learned and the skills you have learned through university rather than what university you went to. So it might be worth considering. It's a good idea to consider that when you're making your decisions.
Yeah, very much. Is that
But
got it?
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so it's experience, what you get from university, how you can carry that forward, something very much that employers will be looking at. So yeah, always worth taking that into consideration. Thanks, Matthew. So next question, I've accepted my insurance, but now I'm wondering if I should have looked at clearing instead. Is it too late to change? Joe, can you should I offer some thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think this one's fairly nice and quick. The answer is no, it's not. It's definitely not too late. But we would recommend in this instance that the person acts quickly if they want to still secure a place in clearing, especially if those kind of popular universities or courses as well. So they can explore clearing options by calling up universities with spaces available while still holding their insurance offer. But they will need to be released from their insurance offer before accepting a place through clearing. So they can hold on and kind of look around, and definitely, I'm sure everyone on this call knows how difficult it can be to get this kind of age audience on the phone. But in these kind of instances, it's often the easiest way and best way to kind of get that immediacy. So that's what we'll be pushing for on site, and that's what I'd recommend. Yeah, then we tell the person that it's really important to secure a verbal offer from that clearing course before they then request to be released from their insurance choice. What we don't want is obviously a student to lose both options, release themselves from that insurance choice, not get the clearing option that they want, and then be in a heap of trouble. So make sure you call the university you want to apply to in clearing, and then wait for them to send you a confirmation before then asking to be released from your insurance choice. And yeah, if I was on the student room, that last bit would be bold, underlined, and pointing here, there, and everywhere. Make sure you get that confirmation before you release yourself, but it isn't too late.
Yeah, no, very, very important to highlight that. Thanks, Joe. So next question, moving more into the accommodation side of things now. So question here is, what's it really like to live in halls? I don't really drink. I'm a bit shy. I'm a bit worried I'm going to struggle to make friends. Again, we're focusing on that sort of connection element side of things as well. But yeah, Matthew, what would be your answer to this one?
As someone who's lived through halls, in some ways it's quite similar to living in a standard flat. In other ways, slightly different. But the big difference is the fact that you're living with a bunch of people you haven't met before and are your age rather than family you've grown up with. I was a bit like that. I was shy. I didn't really drink much. But I found that my flatmates were all really supportive and were happy. They were really just let me do me. So I didn't really go out at all during Freshers Week, while they may have gone out. And that's something that I was really happy with. I think one of the big things to remember is that everyone's in the same position. They're all coming to university for the first time. And for most people, it's the first time for them living alone. So everyone will be more shy to begin with. And as you spend more time with these people, it will help you to develop your confidence a bit more, and because you are all growing together.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great answer. It's great able to call on your sort of recent personal experience around that as well. But yeah, it's important just to sort of be aware of what you're comfortable with as well. And halls can be quite diverse, so maybe I'm sure there'll be someone you sort of connect with, and then there'll be other opportunities to connect outside of that. But I don't know if you've got anything else to add, Zara?
Well, everyone is in the same boat anyway, so most people in halls don't know anyone else either, so they're also hoping to make friends. Like Matthew said, that it's a starting period, so everyone gets to be a bit more socializing with each other on that period of time. So even the confident ones are probably the nervous underneath. So a simple hello in the kitchen or asking someone how their days can open the door to conversations and grow into real friendship. So that's everyone is in the same boat. Also, yes, some people go out and enjoy a few drinks. So university life is becoming more inclusive and mindful on that as well. So there are lots of people who chose not to drink. So there are always events, activities, and societies happening, which is alcohol free. So you won't be left out, even if you don't drink. You could also go at your own pace. You don't have to be the life of the party to find your people. Try joining a society that matches your interests, because there are lots of interesting societies involved in the university setting. You can go to a quiz night, or you can take part in the accommodations welcome events as well. So even one friendly connection can make a big difference, and which can lead to more. Friendships look different for everyone, so not everyone finds their best friends in the first week of the starting period of the study. So that's completely normal. So friendships can grow slowly, and it could be still meaningful at the end of the day. So be kind to yourself and allow space for things to build quite naturally. And if you really need some kind of a support, if you're finding it hard to settle or feeling lonely, which is acceptable, which is very all common, so there are well-being teams which is supported by the universities. So there are peer mentors and other students who are happy to help whenever you need any some sort of support. And asking for support also shows strength. It's not a weakness. So you do not have to change who you are in terms to enjoy the uni life. You just find people of your own type anyways. You'll have moments that will surprise you and the best possible way. So be patient and stay open and remember that it's okay to take small steps. So you're already braver than you think you are. So yeah.
No, great advice. And yeah, no, that's true. It's yeah, it's going to be opportunity to sort of connect and like I mentioned earlier, in terms of meeting people at some point. We know from the insights we looked at earlier, first years in the first semester we're still finding that challenge to make new friends. So yeah, it's important that people recognize that it's going to be same for everyone. Cool, we're coming towards the end, or close to the end of our time for the panel discussion. So I think we've got time for one question each, which I'll throw to you. Matthew, I'll go to you first. The question I've got is, I've missed my grades by 1 mark and I've now been rejected by my first choice. Is there any point calling the university and seeing if they would reconsider? Any quick pointers on this one?
I think it depends on the university, really. Some universities, if you call them up, will, depending on spaces, will say, yes, we can take you. Others will say, might say, we can take you through clearing, as occasionally the grades drop slightly during clearing for some courses. So they might be able to put you through that way. However, this really does depend on the university in question and the course in question, as not all universities run clearing the same, and certain courses will have different will be operated differently depending on whether there's specific subject requirements, for example.
Yeah, no, so it's important to understand that, yeah, different universities, different scenarios, maybe different options. Thank you, Matthew. So Zara, I'll go to you next. Just another one around living, where they're living. Someone's talking about asking if is it better to live at home or move out for the first year. They're applying to the local university and worried about money and don't want to miss out on the experience. How do I decide what's right for me?
Well, in my opinion, I think both options come with benefits. So it's completely valid whether you want to save money while you're still making the most out of the university life. That could be an option. The key is finding the balance that fits your needs and your priorities at the same time. So I would say think about your goals, which is your first priority, what matters most to you right now at the moment. If saving money is a top priority, then living at home could be a smart choice. If you are more focused on gaining more independence and trying new things, moving out might feel more exciting. So both are valid, but neither choice is permanent. So I would reconsider thinking about the priority first, and then you won't miss out just by living at home. So lots of students commute to university even. So you can still get fully involved into society, social events, and student life. It might take a little more effort to stick around after lectures because you have to stay for a certain period of time and then catch your trains for commuting. So it's definitely doable if you not want to consider that as a choice. You can still meet lots of people in that way as well. Even moving out gives you a new kind of freedom. So, living in halls in a shared apartment can be a great way to build confidence, being more independent, and trying things for the first time. You'll still be meeting people from different backgrounds all over the world, figuring out life skills and learning how to be more independent in your own way, and also being more practical. You can also consider about thinking about a bit more practical side of it as well. If you consider to look at your travel time and the costing, the expenses that comes with it if you commute. So how often you will need to go onto the campus and whether you have the space and the quiet if you need the space to study at home. So these are the small daily details you need to consider, which could be a big difference in terms of experiences as well as for expenses as well. So make sure you keep that in mind whenever you make that choice. there is no wrong answer, to be fair. So many students who live at home in their first year chose to move out in the second year. So it's all about the decisions and what makes them feel more comfortable. So others move out and then realize they prefer the comfort of home, so they went back. So you're allowed to change your mind whenever you're trying to do something out. So take your time with these kind of decisions. It would be my best advice. And try not to compare yourself with everyone else, what they're doing. Think what's the best right choice for you in that regard. So that helps you to feel more confident, supported, and also ready for what's ahead.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Zara. Yeah, just weighing up all your options again, as we've looked at in a couple of these answers. It's no snap decisions. Look at the pros and cons. Seems to be good advice. So, Joe, I'm going to come to you finally. I'm going to ask for quite a quick answer on this, because I know you've got some more insights to go through as well. So, the final question that we have is: how do you make a good decision quickly in clearing, and how long do I have before spaces fill up?
Let's keep it really short in that case. I mean, we don't want to tell a student exactly how long they have. We don't exactly know. So we'd really emphasize again with these questions, all of these pulled from the student room last year, that you prepare in advance, so you don't need the time. So make sure they've researched, make sure they have clearing numbers, direct phone numbers, make sure they've got the landing pages ready to go. Space, we want to say otherwise, but spaces can fill up quickly. It is a difficult, frantic time. So make sure you've got your house in order just in case. Otherwise, it's really leaning on, the amazing advice that Zara and Matthew's already kind of given. I don't think there's anything else to add there. It is quick, don't panic, prepare. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Zara and Matthew. Some really great responses, some good ideas to take away, I'm sure. So entering to the last part of our webinar now, as I'll be passing over to Joe, who will look at some best advice and guidance for official rep.
Cool. So hopefully, can you see this? All good?
Yeah, that's all coming through.
Great. Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll take the last 10, 12 minutes. Please ask any questions. So we prepared, we know what students are thinking. How can you use your official rep to support students and support your institutions over this period? So we'll start with your own forum. So this is your space. This really is the most important space for you. This is where you are converting those students that are considering your institution. They're students with real tangible interest in your institution, who have really specific questions, who might be on the cusp of picking you as a clearing option, confirming their place as their firm insurance, or thinking about giving you a call. So this has to be the space that every time you're logging into the student room, this is the space you're looking at first and foremost. In this space, we think the tone of your posts and your content can be a little bit more authoritative. It can be a bit more promotional than some of the areas of the site because of that student pain point and need. But we need to make sure that any question isn't left unanswered. Even if you don't know the answer, even if it's just a placeholder saying, I don't know about this, I'll ask a colleague, or just wishing someone good luck. If someone has put a question in your forum space and it's left unanswered while you're engaging with other spaces, it's not the best look. So always try and answer absolutely everything in this space if you can, even if it is that I'll try and get back to this later. This will be where your applicant and clearing threads are, so those students who are connecting with each other about the interest in joining you over clearing or confirming their options after results day. So make sure you're watching those threads, and we'll show you how to do that in a second. This is where any blogs, FAQs, guides that your institution wants you to create or you've created yourselves, they should live in here. Then there can be a huge database of content for the students for yourselves to link to in other posts, but also for them to peruse after they've asked their question. The things you should expect over the next month or so in your areas will be questions that we've already answered with the panel, but also will X subject being clearing. A lot of questions about specific accommodation providers and areas post results day. And then that kind of, is anyone else joining? That kind of excitement once everyone's confirmed. And we've seen a few institutions build out spaces for offer accepted students, so they can start connecting with each other in a kind of safe environment, start talking about what the bus route's going to be like or how far away the accommodation is to the course. So if that's something you're interested in, kind of building that engagement post results day can help with that kind of retention rate, as students find each other and ease themselves in to university life, which, as we've seen in the questions, can be a little bit of a problem. So those clearing conversations on the student room, each university forum now has a dedicated thread set up for students considering that university's clearing option, directing to your own pages, offering your clearing options. We also have directories for all students considering their options. So every single university listed in there, listing straight to their clearing pages as well. So that's what we're doing to kind of support the connecting students with your clearing offerings. These threads should be monitored actively. Often those questions that will come in your clearing threads will be very urgent. They'll be very panicked. Even if they don't need to be answered within this minute, the student will think they do need to be answered within this minute. So again, keep your eyes on these spaces where possible. They could be that different as students panicking for options, picking 2 or 3. Timely replies can be really, really impactful. But panicked students can sometimes be messy students. So please do check other areas of the site that you're interested in. If your institution or you personally are interested in the subject, say Matthew, for example, make sure you're checking the kind of maths areas of the site as well. If people might be thinking about your institution with a course in mind, they might put it in your forum area, but they also might put it in different areas of the site also. If you have access to some of our campus lens tracking as well, you should be able to find those conversations. But if you're navigating the site, then make sure you're keeping an eye on all the areas that we pinpoint in the next couple of slides, as well as your institution's forum also. So those other areas of the site, the rule of thumb when you're creating a bit of content and you don't know where to put it, if a conversation would only be relevant if a student was interested in your institution, then it should stay within your forum. And so when a student goes there, they're interested in your university clearing offering, that content should sit within your forum, within your institution. However, if your content will engage students regardless of the institution they're thinking about. So if you want to offer general tips to dealing with results day, if you want to offer general tips with budget student meals, anything you're doing, then that's the content that can be across the rest of the site. And there's so much material to unearth. There's so many students engaging in those spaces. They're really great spaces to be involved in. So keep an eye on your subject areas, both in study help and university courses. So again, with mathematics, have a look in our study help offering, just in case conversations get lost, but look in those university courses of the institution that you're trying to specialize in, or if you're trying to reach students who are interested in psychology, make sure you're looking in that space. We have a huge applications clearing and UCAS area of the site. I'm sure anyone that's been active on the student room will be aware of it. Those questions in there can be quite technical, can be very specific technical questions about the process. If you're confident, please engage, but there's absolutely no harm in not engaging in conversations that you're not quite clued up in. There's enough panicked students to go around. There's a lot of conversation to get involved in. You don't have to throw your hat in the ring for any of those really, really technical student finance application process questions. On the flip side, our university life area of the site is that content that every single person on this call can get involved in. Everyone has some form of recognition on what it's like to meet new friends, be a bit nervous, change locations. Even if we haven't gone through that university process ourselves, those conversations are often spiraling, need loads and loads of different opinions, need loads and loads of personal opinions. So university life area of the site could be a really, really great place to get involved ahead of time and on the day. And don't ignore our study help offering during that A-level results day. And also, as another wink and a nudge, please make sure you come back for GCSE as well. So we know where to look. How do we speak to the users? And I'm teaching pretty much everyone on this call to suck eggs, I think, but we'll go through it anyway. Let's keep the information, we'll keep the information informal, as to the point as possible, easily digestible. You know, we've spoken about before, the students are a little stressed. They don't need everything to be pitch perfect. They just want the information as fast as they can, but we want it informal and friendly. I asked, like, we would love it if everyone could share as much personal information as possible. So students are looking for that connection. We're not asking, for current address and bank number, but if you've gone through something similar as a student who's expressing themselves on the student room's gone through, just share that you know what it's like. Those students are looking for two things on results day. They're looking for that authoritative content to connect with you as an institution, but they're also desperately looking for connection to not feel alone. So if you can share a little bit of your personal journey in your replies as well, all the better. Yeah, and that tone should be friendly throughout, obviously, but remind them there's a human being behind that account, as well as you're not just the institution, you're someone working with the institution. We really see a lot of benefit happen when we work together in that way. We recommend to not try and sway or change a user's mind on the site. If they're committed to, here is X or Y university, I don't know which one to go for. If you're University Z and you try and throw your hat in the ring, quite often that's met with a little bit of confusion or lack of interest. Students are here for that support and advice and not sales pitch. When you are engaging with our users, always ask follow-up questions. It shows care, but it also helps continue that engagement, keeps them talking to you, keeps them engaged with you specifically. And we often see so much more success for our official reps than a one and done Q&A. If you ask a follow-up question, get a reply. Ask a follow-up question, get a reply. They start building that rapport with you. They're way more likely to reach out to you. They're way more likely to consider what you're saying and potentially make those calls on results day. And use your quote functionality and tagging to keep those conversations going as well. It will send a notification to them. They'll come back on site. It will send via email if they have the TSR app. It will send a push notification. Use that functionality to keep them coming back, keep them conversing with you, and kind of keep them along that funnel. So very, very quickly, that site functionality that can support you. If you see any conversation you want to engage with, click on the watch button on any forum, any thread, and then you'll get a notification every time there's a new reply. You can also edit your posts if you have made a mistake or the information you've given turns out to be wrong or you've misread, whatever. You can edit the functionality, hit the three dots on a post, hit edit, you can edit. If you have any issues on site whatsoever, if you see a user sharing misinformation, being a little bit bitey, breaking guidelines, hit that report button on every single post, and it comes to my team and my moderators, and we can support you, remove the content, help the user, anything. When you're replying, always check your timestamps as well. We content resurfaces quite a lot. The student room's a huge place that's been around for many, many years. So always have a look at the timestamp to make sure you're replying to a conversation that's still ongoing rather than a conversation that happened a year ago, 2 years ago. And then finally, use the private message functionality sparingly. One of the amazing things about the student room is that we're a huge site, and for every user that you're engaging with, supporting, there'll be about 10 to 100 users passively watching. It's where in the biz it's called lurkers, very lovingly. And then even next year or the year after, there'll be 1,000, 2,000 people watching from refinding your content via Google. The scale of your support and help is seen by so many people that we want it as public as possible so they can see how amazing and supportive and great for students you are. Sometimes there will be cases where you might want to private message a user, or that might be a case if there's personal information that needs to be shared to find a clearing place, for instance. But always ask permission publicly first, get that, then we can move a conversation to that private message. But otherwise, it's in your best interest to keep that public so everyone can see how amazing the support you're giving is. I'm running a little over, but I think this might be the last slide. Decent timing. And finally, and we'll send around the slides after, if in doubt on any of this, use our Ambassador Lounge. It's a private space between us and you. We'll be on hand to immediately answer any questions you have. We can answer questions about a particularly difficult user, any site functionality that you have a problem with. If you need a hand drafting reply and you need our support, we're right here on hand in this space. You can create a new thread and we'll answer it straight away, but we also have existing spaces for engaging with each other, engaging with us, shouting each other out for amazing work. So you can kind of use those already. We'll tag you in though at the start of August, so we're all ready to support as many people as possible. And you can also reach us in another couple of other ways. That report functionality, as I mentioned earlier, or if you do want to tag my incredibly embarrassing username on site so even more people can see it, then you can do that as well, and we'll jump in and help. But we're here to support you. Fundamentally, the students find your support so incredible over this period. Anything we can do to support you supports as many young people as possible, because we're all pulling in that same direction together, and we all want what's best, which is students finding the right space for them so that they flourish and they thrive, and that they love our institutions. So I believe that is us. I will stop sharing my screen. That was a little bit of a quick run through, and I think we have hit time. I don't know if there are any questions, but if the panel and Dom, you're okay just holding on for 2 or 3 minutes just to see. We'll sit here awkwardly and see if anyone asks a question, otherwise we'll say goodbye. But hopefully that was helpful. Doesn't look like anything's come through or coming through, Dom.
I can't see anything coming through this side either, no.
Cool.
But yeah, yeah, thanks everyone for joining. I think we can wrap things up there. Obviously, there's an opportunity to ask questions following this, should they come up. And yeah, thanks to Joe for his thoughts and input and good advice. And also big thanks to Zara and Matthew for joining and offering some really great answers in the panel discussion. Really appreciate your time. And everyone else, yeah, thanks for sticking with us. And we've gone 1 or 2 minutes over, so we appreciate it. I understand there will be follow-up to access the slides and yeah, opportunities to reach out and contact for any follow-up questions. So yeah, we'll say goodbye. And yeah, again, thank you very much and have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.